have a sit. So you're already written down when you're doing your practicum? Yes. I and Jenny have written down when you are doing your practicum. What we need, because some people are coming for 2 lessons, could you please write down the lesson you're doing? Lesson 1, 2.
I don't know the number. No, some of the numbers were a bit ambiguous.
They are.
Depending which list you look at.
Numbers on the lessons or the numbers in the email.
They tend to be.
I press fine, just tell us which one.
You just have order so that the first one's first, the second.
Yeah, okay.
So what was number 1? I'll do it quickly now. So, lifting the head. Who's doing lifting the head? Huh? So lifting head. So we've got Sue doing 1. Actually, no, I'll just put lifting head 1. What's the next one? I haven't got the list here with me, so. No, just give me the name so we can put a number with them. Hip, shoulder circles is 2. Hand to heel. As long as you all know. 3. Tilting the knee, that's the one in, yeah? Tilting knee is 4. Anyone else doing another one? Diagonals. Doesn't matter, we're not doing them in order of the book. We just want them so that you can put a number next to your name. Anyone else doing another one? Okay, great. So if later you can just come and put the number that you're doing beside your name, just so we can make sure people aren't doing the same ATM. Yeah, if they're coming in? Okay. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you're all going to have one buddy in your ATM. So could you find a buddy? And obviously your buddy can't be teaching at the same time. So could you all get a buddy? So it doesn't matter what lesson you're doing, you just need a buddy. Has everyone got a buddy? Yeah, so you're all going to be each other's buddy for your ATM. Okay, so what this buddy is going to do is the first lesson's at 9:30. I want you all here at least at 9:15. Whether you're teaching or not, at least at 9:15. People who are teaching, I'd say get here earlier. That's hand under the heel, I think. Yeah, that makes sense, Martina? Okay, why I want you to get here early is your buddy is going to bring the people down to you. So if you're teaching, you're going to be down here preparing yourself to teach. And what I'd like you to think about is what would I do to prepare myself to teach? What sort of little ATM sequence might I do to prepare myself to teach, to get into a teaching space? And that's going to really depend on how you get anxious. So it's going to depend on how you panic. So, you know, if I've got a habit where I just panic and go internal and lose the world, I've got a couple of options. I could go with that even more. I could go with what I'm already doing. What could I do if this was my pattern? What are some movements I could do that might go with that, I might do more flexion, but not just flexion in this plane, but flexion in this plane, and flexion in this plane, and flexion in this plane. So I'm going to open up my possibilities of being able to feel more comfortable in a flexed position. Does that make sense? So I know I go here, I know my eyes can't see anything. So how can I make myself more comfortable? How can I explore options? How can I make more comfort for myself? That's what learning's all about. How do I make myself more comfortable? It might also be, that you might choose to do something else. So you might go, oh, maybe it'd actually be better for me rather than this. And these are the options we're doing all the time in FI. Do I go with, or do I do a big movement through space? Do I actually do something that makes me come more out into the room? And anything where you move through space is going to bring you more into the room. So this is the same thinking. How you deal with your anxiety is exactly what you'd do if you had a client who came in and said, I get a bit of anxiety. So what are your strategies? What have you learnt that you can make yourself more comfortable? What have you learnt about your habit? What are the things that you go, yeah, I'm anxious still, but I've got more possibilities within my anxiety. Do you want to say your experience the other day, Silvana? Because it's a nice one about this anxiety and options. Yeah.
Is it on? No.
Yes.
It is. Yeah, so I'm obviously always anxious for ATM, and my head, my shoulders, my jaw, my fists clench, everything comes in like this and I can't breathe. And that's always how I feel. And so I came in the other day after having an FI with Julie where I discovered a whole blind spot in me, which was through the back. And so physically, I was still experiencing what I had learnt in the FI, which was that I can lengthen through my neck, that my sternum can move, that my ribs can, like the front and back. But obviously I was still anxious. And so I came in and I was thrown by the fact that the anxiety was all in my head, and yet this kept feeling all jelly and loose. And I'm thinking, this is really strange and my body kind of wanted to get back into that position, but this wasn't letting it. And so it was all sitting in here. And it felt very, very strange to feel anxious and yet free. And so I started in sitting, which is what I had learnt to help calm me. And pretty soon I hadn't even realised I stood for a lot of the lesson and moved around the room rather than fluttered all crazy around the room. And it was at the end of the lesson when we were talking about feedback that I'd realised two things. One, that I hadn't collapsed on the floor and needed an FI straight after it. And two, that my body was still free. It was the most, and I said to Julie, I just don't understand that. And it was a life-changing experience to the words of you can separate emotion and movement, which has never made sense to me. And now I understand that you can be completely anxious and still move. And it actually felt really good. So imagine if I can get rid of what's going on in the head.
Yeah, but it took me a long time to understand what he meant by separating the emotion from the action. It doesn't mean that you're not emotional, but that you don't have to be tied into the habit of organisation that goes with that emotion. Yes, I am. Yeah, and I think that's a really lovely story. And, just that and so it's not the FI that was important per se, but that you can begin to investigate more and more. I know it's something here. How does that tie in? What's my investigative process here? So the people who are teaching, if you get here, I would suggest, around 9, because you want to set up your room. So sometime today in your groups, you need to work out where you're teaching. Where you want to teach, where you know you'll be more comfortable. Are you more comfortable facing the wall? Are you more comfortable looking into the room? All of those things. How do you know where this space is and begin to give yourself options so that you're not just left, if you're always the last person, to go, oh, well, I'll just take what's left over. Feel free if you feel comfortable, but maybe you could be a little bit more proactive.
We just meet at the first break.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can meet at the first break. Yes?
For me, it's like the opposite. If I've been here around for too long, I don't learn. I need to walk in and start.
Try something different. That's what I'm saying to you. This process is about exploring your habits. No, it's about giving you options. It's not just, okay, that works. What happens if you can't do that? Have you got some other options? So you might want to come in and set up, Martina, and then go for a walk. That's absolutely up to you. But please get here and be responsible for setting up your space in the room and where you want it to be, not just walking in at the last minute. Because it's not just you doing it, it's a group of you doing it. And how do you support each other in that?
How do we know which certain people are doing which ATM?
We will go through. Hopefully, this list is completed. You need to check. You've got some more. So if this can be absolutely completed, by the end of the day, by lunchtime, and we will start putting people, we'll do that. We'll put people so that up the top, you'll meet the people up the top. They won't be coming down. The buddy will know who they're bringing down. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So you will be participating in a class as well. Now, so you'll absolutely be with your buddy, but there'll probably be 2 of you. And what we will probably do is, because, just depending on numbers, we'll just see where we can get people in.
If there are late comers for the guests, do you want the buddy to stay up there and wait for them?
We will, if they're really late, we would bring them in. But again, if they're really late, too bad.
They miss out. They'll have to wait.
No, it's just in terms of what you want the buddy to do. The buddy to do when the session starts, or the buddy to wait.
Well, hopefully the person's going to be here, because you won't be starting without your guest.
No, but if there's 2 or 3 guests,
Believe me, there will not be that many guests, unfortunately.
Last time we did this, like in Sydney, there were plenty of standards. So it looks like we have about 2.
That's what you have. No.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know.
So, you need, so who gets first dob at the mats? They do. Does that make sense? They get the mats. Yeah. Absolutely. They get the mats. Huh? But really, so if if you've brought any of these people in, please ring them and confirm. that they need to, or I don't care what you do, whatever you do these days. You know, that it is at 9:30, but it would be great if they could get here a little easier. Do people know about parking if they're coming for more than one ATM? Yeah, so that you just really let them know the logistics. Okay, next thing. So you've got your buddy. Have you done your feedback forms? Yeah? So you either need that printed out, bring it printed out, or if you haven't got a printer, just write it on some paper. But make sure you have your feedback forms. And you're also going to get feedback, especially from your buddy.
If you're from Sydney and you don't have access to a printer, you're welcome to email me and I'll print it out.
Thank you, Simon. That's great. Thank you, Simon. That's wonderful. He'll put it up on the board.
Not here.
Sorry?
I'll write it down for you. I'll write it on the board.
Yes.
Can we ask extra feedback from our buddy?
Oh, absolutely. This is purely your feedback. You're more thinking, if this was a class, you know, what would I like feedback on? What can they tell me? What can they give information to me about? Or what could I ask them to reflect on, maybe, you know, that might help them, that's useful for them as a participant in this class. And it's really fascinating. It's a great, I've just learned over time, it's a great process to then share each other's forms, the questions, and you go, wow, that's more. This is they're just really good. You can ask whatever you like, Carol. That's the process, you know, your first approximation of what would be useful feedback. And it might be all about you at the moment, you're teaching, or you might want to be asking a question maybe about their process. So are there any other questions?
Have you scheduled any time today for people to do that, or do you want us just to do that in our breaks and whatever?
In your breaks and whenever, to get in your groups. And because in class we'd have to do one lot, then the next lot. So you'll have time, yeah, in the breaks to do that.
And for the lesson tomorrow, is there extra time after the 45 minutes of the lesson for the people to let you feedback for 5 minutes or something?
That's where you're getting your timing in.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
How much time do I organise? This many minutes, so this many minutes for this staggering and that.
So obviously, you know, if you're heading over time and then you're getting them to fill in feedback, and some questions that you might be asking, and that's what you're going, how long would it take to answer this question? You've got an hour because your next group starts at 11.
If you're saying an hour, including the feedback process.
Yes.
Yeah. Just because we want to leave you some time to get some feedback from your buddy as well. Yeah.
Can that happen after?
Yeah.
10 o'clock?
So hopefully, what would probably make that easier if these people and these people choose a buddy from Wednesday, that makes a lot more sense.
Tuesday.
So has everyone got that, or some people will need to change? I think it would be easier in terms of feedback that your buddy is not on the day you're teaching.
Oh, okay. So we got it right.
Does that make sense? So you've got, because if you've got a buddy down here, they're going to be wanting to prepare the room.
So we need to be fairly.
Does that make sense? So has everyone got a buddy that's teaching on the opposite day? Yeah, great. Okay.
I need a Tuesday buddy.
So, so we have got, so you two are still on the same day. Okay, so we need 2 people who are on Tuesday. We need someone to swap. Because Nicole and Amanda at the moment are on the same day.
The afternoon sessions have 7.
Jane, are you with someone? Okay. So you were down.
Jane just said Pat's not coming at all.
Well, that's what I read.
And Jane's only doing it with students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So actually it should be stacked the other way.
Yeah, there should be one going the other way to make it easier. Because at the moment we've only got 10 on Wednesday. And so how on earth are just the 2 of you? There's something wrong here. No, it's not that. Who are you with, Sue?
He's on Wednesday.
Okay. Who are you with, Ray? Silvana? Who are you with, Margaret? Priscilla? Who are you with, Bruce?
No, I don't see that name in
Bruce! You've been here enough to say, I want you to have a buddy. Shona. You're with Glenn. Jenny? Yona? Trish? Liz? Fiona isn't here. So here we go. So Amanda and Nicole, one of you will be with Bruce and one will be with Fiona. And we've worked it out. Yay! I hate doing this stuff, but...
You did that really fast.
Okay. So all we need now is you to put the number up that you're teaching. No?
That's number, which is on the board here. Yeah.
Free your neck, Julie. Free your neck.
We like be close to the other person doing that with you guys moderating us, close to someone else who's saying lessons and Joel doing it.
I think it should be okay.
I see I need you now. Can I make a request though? What I found in Sydney was when people finish, they just got up and walked to my class. It's very disconcerting. If you finish early, could you just sort of sit there and wait?
Yeah, but we're Melbourne people.
We don't do that.
Sydney was very difficult, though. It was a difficult room, and you know, it was streaming people, and yeah. So if we actually have, let's hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you've got the whole middle for people to walk in and out. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Like that.
Sorry, hang on.
I thought another one like that is the audio issue. Like there are 3 or 4 voices that are really powerful, and there are some of us who really struggle. And it's not a, you know, it's just how it is. And when I was learning, I was really struggling to hear your name and not hear the other 2.
You'll hear the other 2 anyway.
But I mean, you know, I just wonder whether we can.
Okay, so I wasn't going to do
like,
this now,
if-
but
if you
seeing
have,
you've brought it up.
If you have a loud
No,
voice, can you
really,
talk-
this is
can you
important.
talk to
It's
more?
important.
And if you
Okay.
don't have a loud voice, can you
Okay.
go away, don't compete so much?
So, what are some of the things about voice that you did with Arlene? Just generally, what do you remember about some of the things for yourself in your sensation? So not just we did something. What do you remember? The warm-ups she did, the ideas about, I don't know that she uses the word open channel, it's something that I tend to use, that there's an open channel there for your voice. Moving your attention. No? And again, that these just aren't abstract things, but you have an idea of how do I organise that? How do I organise to be attending to myself and to be attending to the people around me or the people I'm teaching?
Yeah. And to the other people who are trying to teach. So I just think architecturally, if you readily project and you're unaware of the impact.
So what makes it
kind of talks
easy? What makes it easy? The question is, this is what you're investigating. What makes it easy to modify your voice? What did you do in the ATM the other day with Lisa about voice? What allowed you to find voice in that lesson? So what would, because people who whisper like this, people who whisper, do you think I could do seesaw breathing here? You should do seesaw breathing. So this ability to get this seesaw breathing, if you don't have the space to get seesaw breathing, we did it specifically the other day on exhale, but you've done it in many, many ways, seesaw breathing, in many, many positions. So that there's a difference between being quiet, where you can't hear. If I can seesaw breathe here, you can hear me. I can enunciate. I don't need to be loud. Let's try it yourself as you're sitting there. Just get into a position where you think you have to be quiet. Yeah? Could you seesaw breathe there? Yeah? Could you pull your upper belly in and lift your ribs, or push your lower belly, push your belly out and the ribs go down? And just feel, what would your voice be there if you stayed there? So whispering is a real... So could you just find now a place where you could seesaw breathe in your sitting? Where you know you could get this action. And how would your voice be now? And can you feel how much modulation you could have over it? Mm-hmm. So it's these ideas of what is it to be loud? How am I using my voice there to project? But I can also be quiet. but I can enunciate, because whispering is terrible. You're asking the person to. Can you feel that on yourselves? Yeah, that difference? So this seesaw breathing is really fundamental to voice. It's really fundamental to you being able to enunciate, to make your words heard.
At risk of going on too much, that deals with the people who are too quiet. But I feel that part of the reason is that if you've got an awareness of the whole room,
so what makes you too loud?
Deliberately reduce your volume because you know that
it's the same thing, Danielle. What would make you too... I understand, but what makes someone too loud? What are they organising in their anxiety that's too loud? It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, you can't do seesaw breathing. If I'm really loud, it's really hard to do seesaw breathing here, Danielle. Because I've become strident. Yeah. So it's exactly the same thing, and that's where, it's this idea of you all making more and more links. What are all these movements about? What is it about this seesaw breathing that is so fundamental to voice? To having a voice, to losing a voice. So it's all just modifying this. It's all an organisation. But I would also tell you, Danielle, I've done this a million times, and I know that the people on the floor very quickly tune into the voice that they need to tune into.
I just felt the person really hard when I felt that Kim's voice was perfectly adequate, but the two competing voices were so loud that I kept listening to Alison, even though I moved to try and abate that.
It's called adapting, you're learning.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get that situation when you go into a cafe and it's got hard surfaces like this room, and everybody speaks louder and louder and louder until everyone's shouting and still can't hear each other. So I'm just saying, there are things you can do to modify that. For instance, the very loud people can talk into the wall rather than into the space, or we can be aware of each other and think about that.
That's what I'm talking about. How do you adapt? Yeah. No? For yourself and with others. But if I'm anxious, I'm going to go to my default. So what is it that I can think of? But nothing's perfect. No environment is ever perfect. That's what learning's about. No?
Kind of ironing out issue, like people do get loud in their nerves. They'll get less nervous over time.
Absolutely.
But I think what Danielle is saying, just to place people who are loud, can you pull maybe against the wall?
They won't know that they're loud. They won't know that they're loud.
Acoustic rise, that might be sound actually.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're sort of getting lost in anxiety here. Is what I'm really hearing. So
I was actually thinking of the guests and how to make the best.
I know you were, Danielle. I think I really understand where your intention's coming from. And I think all of us would agree that's our overall intention. But it's about awareness of yourself as much as awareness of others. And maybe I don't even know that I talk loud. So maybe if you think that, the best thing you could do is specifically go to the person that you think gets loud and go, what do you think we could play around with that? Are you even aware that your voice is quite loud?
I think the group as a whole deserves some credit as well.
I agree.
Quality last week around rooms was actually really good.
I thought it was, compared to the last time. Thank you.
And also teaching, because what I see mainly was everyone I could hear was teaching so well, and so there's such a consistent accomplishment throughout all of it.
There you go.
It's not about undermining any of that. It's about how do we adapt to that issue in a hard space and make it the best it can be for those people.
So I think, again, what I would say to you is address the people that you feel, or for you, make sure you're not around. Of course, well, hopefully you all have found that's what feedback is about. That's about what you're learning here. How do I give useful feedback to someone? That's what it's about. You as colleagues helping each other.
My last segment, saying Fiona that I have a very good voice. She said, well, can you give position like that way? And then, yeah, that was fine. But then Janet was saying, voice, and then I had to I was consciously going a bit softer, and I just had to go back to my normal.
And that's where the seesaw breathing comes in.
Like I'd let go of that altogether and had forgotten about Jen my entire lesson. And then when I came back to me, I was like I'd been too quiet, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I just like. But
and different people have different sensitivities. I mean, I'm sure Di will agree with you. As a peck being brought up, you could yell and scream as much as you liked. It was not a quiet household. Huh? So then, of course, I met Graham, who's so sensitive to sound. I couldn't even hear what he was talking about. I didn't listen for that. It wasn't. And so that's what you're going to get in anything. You're going to get you're talking about voice. Someone else is going to be lying on the floor and really getting annoyed with a particular word you're using. Do you know what I mean? Or a particular that does not suit them in their learning, that does not help their learning. That's the nature of being in a group. Absolutely, people can get upset with physicality.
One of when she's from Australia, she's from Queensland, and she got, I didn't realise it, I was seeing her get intense. She got so upset on two things. One was I was using the idea of the roof coming down. So she's claustrophobic. Right? So she's like, what's going on? What's going on? I lift the roof up. But I also use the idea of a mouse going under her back. Oh, so she freaks out on that too. The feedback from her was, oh, that was a great lesson. But those think that like it wasn't a great lesson for her.
And that's the thing about metaphors. Metaphors, stories, they're really powerful learning, but absolutely realise that there's some, and you're never going to please everyone.
She couldn't stop talking about it.
Oh.
I was okay. It was a good lesson. Sit them out. Sit them out.
And that's what's going to happen. You know, the thing that stands out in our attention. So again, what I'm going to finish with before this took a little longer than I thought, dealing with people's anxieties. Is, I think we'll end on Simon's note. You all, the difference between this time and last time, you know, I have to tell you that this is quite new that we do this much ATM teaching in trainings. And boy, is it worth it. Every single time I see the change. And I was going to say to you later, but I'll say it now, it's not just in your teaching, but in your ability to give feedback to each other. It's getting richer, the feedback that you're giving to each other every time. There's more elements that you're able to bring to your discussion and your feedback with each other. So it's really great. Okay, let's do some ATM.